Ways schools differ around the world. For most schools, classrooms are crammed with desks, books, short lunch breaks, not forgetting the endless mountain of homework. That said, class is not conducted in the same way around the world. In some places it happens on train platforms, while in others it takes place in palaces. The punishments also vary. Some are child's play, while others endure corporal punishment. School lunches can either be good, bad or ugly. Let's compare the best, worst and most weird schools. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Campuses. I go about thinking that all schools look the same. The courtyard, block building and double doors that are seen in many campuses can be depressing. That said, in Jaipur, India, students of the J.C. Periwal International School study in a palace with the white walls and blue roofs against a blue sky. It looks like a Disney castle instead of a school. It's not just a fancy school, it's an institution for the elite and has a tennis court, a heated pool and a shooting range, stables and a castle-themed theatre. Even the art rooms look like something out of a Disney film. Staying here is not cheap. To stay full board on campus, it can cost 778,000 rupees per term, which is equivalent to $10,000. It's expensive, yes, but not compared with the next school we'll profile. The Rosie. This is a world-renowned school in Geneva, Switzerland that's close to the beautiful shores of Lake Geneva. It's a boarding school that's only accessible to the elite, located in a premium location with additional buildings lining pathways that make way for the iconic Carnival Concert Hall. This very 900-seater capacity hall steel dome is made of giant windows and inside decked with beautiful wooden furnishings. This school in the winter moves to another location, a charming village known as Chalais in the alpine resort town of Kastad. These kids have a second campus which is also a ski resort. How cool is that? To go there, your parents need 130,000 to 150,000 Swiss francs. That's a whopping $157,000 for only 1 year. Dongzhong Primary School. Let's head over to Xi'an County, China and see how different things are there. The rural Dongzhong Primary School has no doors, walls or even classrooms. Classes take place out in the open-sized cave in the area. This is because access to education is scarce and the locals in the area decided to turn the existing natural caves into a free place of learning in one of China's poorest rural areas. It was established in 1984. At its peak, it had 8 teachers and 186 students. Sadly, it was shut down in 2011 after Chinese authorities discovered it and had it closed, claiming that it gave China a bad reputation. Shutting down a school that was essential to students for learning was an extremely bad move. Boat School in Bangladesh. Let's head over to Bangladesh, where heavy monsoon season can easily flood 70% of the entire country. This means that classrooms sometimes end up underwater. However, that doesn't stop studious students from showing up. When the water is chest high, the kids are still learning. The Shindalai Swanivar Sangster organization designed boat schools that use solar on the roofs that supply electricity to the laptops that the students use. The different boats have different functionalities. This one, for instance, allows the kids to play. There are even swings where the kids can take a break without the fear of drowning. India. With over 134 million people living in poverty in India, most Indians can't afford to take their kids to school. Most send their children to beg around crowded places such as train stations. This very heartwarming scene of kids studying at a railway station leaves you smiling. Some volunteers decided to set up a free classroom at the edges of railway platforms to help the children that gather there with basic education. There are more than 12 of these railway platform schools within India, with 700 plus students who are in school for free. It's nothing compared to the thousands of dollars paid by other schools around the world, but education is more important than the building where the learning takes place. Food. For a great majority of kids, lunchtime is the best part of a school day. If you're, however, not bringing your midday meal to school, lunch can look very different depending on which part of the world you're from. Let's start with France, a land famous for its good food. The municipal government is responsible for the 4-course meal that most kids receive. The meal consists of a vegetable starter, a main meal with more vegetables, and a dessert as well as a complimentary cheese course. The meal adheres to strict guidelines when it comes to nutritional requirements. This states that fried food should be limited to 4 meals a month, and ketchup should only be served once a week because of its high salt and sugar content. When foods like this are served, they are balanced out with healthy options such as freshly baked artichokes. A typical meal can cost €8, which is $10. Students in low-income families receive financial assistance, ensuring that no kid goes hungry. In Russia, it's a bit different. In 2020, the government started providing free meals to the younger students. The older students are left to rely on the support of regional authorities. Wealthier regions receive both lunch and breakfast. A breakfast consists of tea with toast or orange as well as a sausage. Lunch is more colourful. Fish is served with beetroot soup, a sugary soup as well as a starchy carbohydrate such as potato or bread. It's nutritious, yes, if you can afford it. In 2019, when the government did not offer any meals, poor families struggled to come up with 75 cents for a basic lunch. Not so far away, in South Korea, hunger is not on the menu. Older students attend academies, even night school in the evenings, meaning that they're mostly in schools from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m, so they have their meals provided for them almost every day by the school. Lunch is usually a staple meal of rice, healthy soup, healthy meat of fish and fruit. Dinner is somewhat similar with special treats of chicken nuggets and grilled egg sandwiches. If I attended a school with such nice meals, I'd study till night time for sure. How much does it cost, you ask? Well, in Seoul, it's free, since $615 million has been invested in education per year. Seoul wants to make all its meals free from 2021. So we've seen quite a bit of appetizing meals. From the US, the meals that are on the table will surely make your appetite disappear. The country's national food program funds meals for almost 31 million students, providing $1 per child. The meals are, however, too processed, with a high quotient of calories. This varies from state to state, however, pizza and corn are quite popular. The pizza looks bad, the cheap chili dogs and fries are also a common meal, and the only healthy option is the lettuce or pickles on the side of the plate. Sometimes there are some nachos. There's also mac and cheese that looks greasy. Not all American schools are shabby. Up in Georgia, Savannah Chatham School, those meals look beautiful, tasty and nutritious. This is also because they're served up by a nutritional organization. The meals are made from locally grown ingredients, and on a normal day there's a generous serving of greens. The cost came up to $3 a day, and for this school I'd give it an A+. Nothing, however, beats the charred meal from the Democratic Republic of Congo. At the American School of Kinshasa, these caterpillars provide some protein for the students. Well, it's good protein. Uniforms. In any school, uniforms make all the students look the same. Around the world, there are all kinds of uniforms. In England, for example, a basic uniform means having all the students dressed in a specific colour. For most girls, they can opt to wear trousers when it's cold and skirts when it's hot. Not all schools allow boys to wear shorts during summer, and this is what led the boys at Iska Academy to get creative during summer. There was a rule against shorts, however there was no rule against short skirts, so they showed up wearing fetching garments in protest. They were not the only ones. Boys from all over the region showed up wearing all manner of skirts in 2020. Another reason for the protest was that girls were not allowed to wear shorts till a certain length, while boys could be allowed short shorts. The boys wore short skirts to raise a flag towards this double standard. After some time, most countries in Europe adopted gender neutrality. Any student could wear a skirt irrespective of their gender. Since its establishment in 1560, the students at Christ's Hospital School have sported the same uniform for the last 4 centuries. It's quite fancy, a billowing flock with shiny buttons and long yellow socks. These cool kids look like they're going to Hogwarts, don't you think? This uniform from Christ's Hospital is among the few that have stood the test of time. During the Soviet era, schools in the USSR required boys to wear dark suits with white shirts. The girls were required to wear white aprons and knee-length socks. These rules were abolished in 1994 after the fall of the Soviet regime. They, however, still play a role in some schools today. In Japan, the uniforms look classy, as the boys wear military-style, sleek black uniforms, and the girls wear what looks like little sailor outfits. These Navy-style uniforms are known as seifuku. The uniforms are military-inspired because they help instill a sense of discipline in them. Instead of official shoes, they wear bright white slippers, uwabaki, which is a brand of soft shoes that keep the floor of the school clean. In Japan, it's very common to keep shoes outside the home as well as outside big buildings to keep the place clean and cleaning to a minimum. At school, students change their uwabaki at the entrance, genkan. The grade is sometimes indicated by the color at the toes. Hours. A typical high school day starts at 8 a.m. and after a 40-minute break ends at 3 or 3:30. 7 hours long. That seems like a long school day, right? But not in China. 7 hours is just the start of the day in countries like China. Most schools start at 7 a.m. and run till the early evening at about 5 p.m. It's intense. Though there's a 2-hour lunch break, most schools have evening study classes and kids stay on until it's 9 p.m. They also have to do their homework before bed. This culture is driven by the country's high competitiveness. Kids are also taught to study properly and keep a good posture from a very early age. In some schools, the desks come with a bar to keep the kids from not sitting too close to the paper. Similarly, South Korea has equally long school days. School starts at 8 a.m. and finishes at 4 p.m. Then the students have to clean their classrooms before attending tutoring school, which can run as late as midnight. With a 50-minute break, an addition of 4 to 5 hours to an already full school day is too much. Americans have it easy with their 7-hour school days. Curriculum. Maths, science and literacy are taught the world over. No, not all schools have the same boring old subjects. At the Rosie, the elite school, they have 9 intensive classes a day in not 1 but 2 languages. The school focuses heavily on bilingualism, with geography, history and art being taught both in French and English. The art classes are very elaborate and the student gets to work with porcelain and textile and create things using 3D printers and scale model techniques. The creative classes at La Rosie are well funded in the curriculum. In Agora School in the Netherlands, they form the core of the curriculum. This unconventional school does not adhere to typical school structures and curriculum. It encourages children to pursue topics that they find interesting, from Mongolian horses to Harry Potter patronesses. Students develop the subjects, then the teachers find ways to make the subject more elaborate for the students. For instance, each child gets a desk and they're allowed to customize it any way they like. From wood carvings to cut-up cars, that's one cute-looking classroom. The student makes the desks themselves, so they have to learn the key mechanics at the same time. Japan is, however, teaching the basics and at elite schools where boys learn how to raise children and be good husbands. Japanese men have always been the breadwinners, but the system is changing as more Japanese women enter the workforce. We're seeing many men raising children and working on the home front. So, learning to become a good father is a welcome lesson. In Russia, it's important to learn strategy. In 2019, it introduced a compulsory subject that shocked the world. They all had to know how to play chess. Playing chess makes you much sharper and a high performer in comparison to children who do not play chess. Rules and punishments. Detention and writing lines on the board for hours is the pretty standard punishment for bad behavior. Some of these lessons, however, do not get through to the students. While some teachers decided to take it to themselves to reprimand, others go too far. At Woodland High School in Mason, Arizona, 2 students were caught scuffling in 2012. They should have been let go, but the teacher asked them to hold hands in public for 15 minutes and allowed their classmates to take pictures and mock them. It was quite a social media circus. Across the states, in Detroit in 2011, a 13-year-old student found running along the corridors of the David Elise School was given a choice: stay behind after school or do 60 push-ups. The boy opted for push-ups. The boy decided to go with the push-ups and then got a condition known as rhabdomyolysis as his arms swelled from overexhaustion. As much as this punishment seems intense, about 19 schools in America still adhere to corporal punishment in schools. Across the sea in South Korea, corporal punishment in school is strictly prohibited and banned from 2012. Recently, in 2016, a teacher violated this law and hit a student with a stick 500 times. In some 14 schools in Japan's Saga Prefecture, where their dress policy went all the way to their underwear, which has to be only white, and would even insist that the students remove them for inspection. Drills. Drills are common in schools, evacuation drills being the most common. In Japan, however, they have to deal with magnitude 5 earthquakes that rock the country every year. Kids in school are routinely trained on what to do when an earthquake hits. They're taught to get under the desk head first and protect themselves from falling debris. Once the earthquake is over, they adorn their little hats called bonzukin that keep their necks and heads safe from falling debris. The other thing children have to worry about is tsunamis, such as the one that occurred in 2003. This one in the Philippines was lit, and everyone was caught unawares, and over 6,300 people were casualties. Today, coastal schools can do a fully coordinated drill. They're even taught to carry splints and help carry the injured. Then there are the shocking school drills that happen in America. In 2000, there have been over 200 shootings in the US. Drills have helped to educate both students and teachers on what to do once there's an incident. They do the drills with full scenes where a civilian pretends to be an active shooter, and kids and teachers are taught how to barricade the doors, hide under their desks, while waiting for the police to arrive. This issue is so serious that people have been designing bulletproof desks as well as bulletproof backpacks. That's a wrap about schools. We bet you wished you went to an elite school, the ones in Geneva, and got 4-course lunch meals. You can live vicariously through your kids if you have some. Let us know which high school fact gave you a shock. Until next time, adios.